So in the last video, I had a bit of a fraudulent locals experience with version 4. However, later that weekend, I went to Stevenage to partake in their Evolution Cup and, well, we got top 4 there as well. Ended up going 3 wins and 1 loss at this tournament, ending in 3rd place, giving me that top 4 cool boy that I've already traded. Good job, me. So in today's video, I want to talk about the tournament itself, where I went right, where I went wrong, and overall just give you an idea of what the tournament was like. And also, I'll be going over a brand new deck profile for this deck because I did make some changes since the last video. Please subscribe to the channel for more Digimon content, and also, if you're looking to pick up cards, please use my Big Orbit affiliate link in the description down below or on screen right now to save 5% off. Anyways, let's get straight into the matchups, and the first one is a bit of a doozy because it involves one of my friends from my own locals, Ash. My first round was against Imperialdramon. My friend Ash was piloting the deck. Anything better than friendly fire on round 1. So I ended up winning this game, ending that round 2-1, somehow recovering from the second game because I feel like at some point I was definitely going to lose, but I somehow made a comeback. So game 1 was pretty bad on my part. I ended up doing a mulligan and I ended up bricking even harder from my first hand, so I was just kind of like a sitting duck playing level 4s to establish some sort of board presence. I did get level 3 eventually, but it was essentially just too late because, well, when your opponent has Imperial and they're off to the races and you're just getting started, it's kind of difficult to match that and get to a point where you're doing better than them. So because of that, I ended up losing game 1. In game 2, like I mentioned before, I feel like I was very close to losing this game. My opponent was able to essentially control my field through the Imperialdramons and stopping from everything from suspending, and then also going into the fighter mode and then eventually the paladin mode. Both of them are aces. However, I kind of thought that maybe if he was going to be, doing something like this, I had to prepare ahead of time. So I went into the Titanmon and I also had another Titanmon ace ready to go. And because of this, my opponent made the critical error of thinking that I'd only get 4 memory from overflow because of the paladin ace, or the fighter ace I should say. But obviously if you have double overflow on a guy, you get both amounts obviously, so I ended up gaining 9 memory when I went into the Titanmon ace and blocking the Digimon. That way I was able to essentially get rid of his field because he didn't have much of a field at that time, and I was able to go for game on the following turn. Game 3 I was actually able to establish my board early and very quickly, which helped a decent amount to say the least. One of the new things I added into this deck was the Metal Garurumon Ace, not the one from the adventure package, but the original Ace card from the starter deck, like Wolf of Courage I think it's called. With that card, I was able to essentially go into a level 6 for cheap, being able to answer his board and also keeping turn while also keeping Alliance as well, being able to do swing a couple of checks and go for game. And with my win in game 3, I was able to win the round entirely, and going into my next game, I was 1-0. That next game would be against Zephagamon, and oh boy, I wasn't expecting the way this was going to go, to be honest. So this was my first loss of the tournament, going 0-2. Game 1, I wasn't essentially able to establish a field like I want to. I kind of was just essentially having like 1 stack, and unfortunately for Zephaga, they essentially just become unaffected, or they bounce to hand or deck. I believe the ace does from deck, so I wasn't able to essentially answer his problematic cards because I only can protect with Scapegoat, which only protects from deletion. I also messed up completely with the overflow mechanics for face down cards. So when I did my training, I put a Metal Garurumon Ace underneath. When I saw that, I was like, oh no, when this gets deleted or this gets trashed, I'm going to lose 4 memory. That's not good. However, I've looked up just recently that that isn't the case, so I wish I knew that back then, because then I wouldn't be so scared of doing certain plays. And I think that would have potentially helped me. Would it have won me the round? Probably not. So because of that overflow stack and all that, issues with the deck not being able to go wide this time, it was essentially a loss for game 1. Game 2 ended up being kind of like a massive slogfest, and I don't mean in the better kind. We essentially were able to just like trade blows back and forwards, but it got to a point where we got to the end game and my opponent was just able to answer anything that I'd play. Stuff with like the Medieval Galantmon, the Zephagamon Ace, all these things were able to essentially answer anything that I did. And because of that, I wasn't able to stay in the game, and I ended up losing game 2, giving me an 0-2 record in this round, making my results 1-1. So round 3 was against WarGreymon OTK, which I have quite a lot of experience with because people at my locals have previously played this deck. But we ended up winning this round going 2-0. Game 1 was pretty good for my opponent. He was able to go into a pretty big stack, essentially removing 3 to 4 security on a given turn. However, when I was able to remove that stack and essentially establish my own board presence, my opponent wasn't able to essentially stick in the game. I think he ended up bricking and hard playing like level 4s and level 5s. And that would actually continue in game 2, where my opponent essentially was starting off the game first, and then he played his only rookie in his hand to do some searching, but he was not able to find another rookie. And so I was able to essentially, build up my board while he was playing level 4s and level 5s, hoping to keep something on the board. Luckily for me, Titamon was able to essentially answer this and get rid of all of his problematic stuff, especially with stuff like the MirageGaogamon, which helped remove his stuff if I needed it to be removed. So in combination of him just having pretty bad luck when it comes to his opening hands and also controlling the field with stuff like MirageGaogamon, I was able to win round 3 going 2-0 and up in my score to 2-1. Now we get into round 4, which is the final round of this tournament, and round 4 was against MirageGaogamon, but I ended up winning this game going 2-0. So in game 1, I was able to establish my board pretty early by going into the Titamon Ace, having 2 bodies out and able to digivolve from them. My opponent wasn't really able to answer the field, unfortunately, so he ended up scooping pretty early on when I had pretty much everything on the field for a game. And unfortunately, game 2 was relatively similar. My opponent ended up conceding this game when he wasn't able to keep turn going into his main Mirage stack. Throughout the turn and conversations after, he would mention to me that when he was building the deck, he thought he had the blue scrambles in, but he actually didn't have the blue scrambles in, which obviously, if you know how important that is for MirageGaogamon, you know that's a big deal. And with them not being in the deck, he wasn't able to go for his like massive OTK turns with burst mode and all that. So it caused, some issues in the tournament for himself, and he got very frustrated. And to be honest, rightfully so. Missing out on a key card like that is obviously sucks, and especially when you're playing an Evo Cup where the prize is better. I did ask if he was sure that he wanted to concede, and he was perfectly fine with that. That would mean that my result for this round was 2-0, and I ended the tournament 3-1, which ended up getting me 3rd place. Now, like I mentioned before, I did end up making some changes to the deck since the last time I played version 4. So what I'm going to do now is go to the deck profile, and I'm not going to go into depth about the cards, because if you've watched my previous video, you should really go watch the previous video. I go into depth about the cards more there, but for new cards that I'm mentioning here, I will go into detail why I chose those cards over other cards previously. So with that, let's get into the deck profile. Alright, so let's get into the deck profile. For eggs, we're still playing the 4 Tanemon. For Palmon, he's the Searcher of version 4. We'll play 4 Biomon, he is the Training version 4 rookie. And finishing up with Betamon, he's a version 1 rookie that has training, but the jamming is important, so we play that as our 3rd rookie. Going into level 4s, we have the Training level 4 Monochromon, probably the best destructive level 4 we have access to. We then have 4 Nanimon. This is our version 4 warp into a level 5 from hand or trash target. And then finally we have 3 Coagamon, another training destructive piece for the deck, but this one isn't as good as the Monochromon, so we play 3 of it. Going into level 5s, we have 4 Digitamamon, the best level 5 in the deck, lets you bring out a body and lets you bring a body on the next turn as well. Very good card. And we have 3 MirageGaogamon. This is our cyborg, get to play for cheaper, but the main thing here is that you're able to delete multiple targets in a row, which is really good. For level 6s, we have 4 Titamon Ace, the main card that this deck is based around essentially. Now we have the new card in MirageGaogamon Ace. So you might be wondering why I have decided to pick this card up over the multitude of other purple Ace cards that we have access to, or any just purple card in general, because all the level 5s are purple. So the reason why I've gone for the MirageGaogamon Ace is that it solves a huge problem within the deck. Well, 2 I would say. Allows you to digivolve for cheap. You're able to discard up to 3 cards and gain a memory for each card trashed. Sometimes you'll find yourself in a situation where you don't really want to digivolve on top of a Digitamamon and just wait for your opponent to swing, but obviously your opponent knows that. So having this as an option to essentially keep your turn going into level 6 and getting stuff like the Alliance checks from Digitamamon or the deletion effect with the when attacking effect of MirageGaogamon Ace, it's important. So for that reason, I decided to play around with WarGreymon Ace, and it works out pretty nicely. Another key factor with this card is that one of the problems that this game is currently facing at the moment is that usually your opponent, before they end their turn, they're usually at like 1 or 2 memory. Well, the good thing about WarGreymon Ace is that you gain memory when they attack, essentially, so hopefully you'll be able to force the turn back to your side of the field and essentially go for your turn there, and hopefully at that point they'll make some like unoptimized play if they knew that card was going to be played. In the run that I had at the Evolution Cup and testing after, I feel like this is a very good secondary ace target for the deck, and it actually does a lot for the deck. It just unfortunately just doesn't have version 4, which sucks, but it is what it is. Then we have 1 Medieval Gallantmon, 1 Chaosmon Valderam, then we have 4 Meat. My opinions changed a little bit on this card. While I do actually like this card and it helps you digivolve for cheaper, which is what this deck desperately needs, it is very limiting, and honestly the main effect kind of sucks. If this had like a search effect like the other trainings did, I think it would be a lot better, but unfortunately just the draw 1 and then the mandatory place 1 card from underneath to then do the training effect kind of sucks. I wish there was an option, say like you may do this and then do this. So unfortunate, I understand why they do it, but yeah, my opinion on this card has changed a little bit, to say the least. 4 Analog Youth, and then ending off with 4 Analog Youth EX9, essentially the backbone of the deck, and that is my updated version 4 deck list. And that right there is the deck profile. Overall, I'm definitely more happy with this version, trying to focus down on what the deck really needs, and also experimenting with new aces like the WarGreymon Ace, which in the tournament actually did help quite a bit. But yeah, that's all I have to say about version 4. I think version 4 is in a fun place. Obviously, I wish there were more support, mainly from a level 6 and a level 3 perspective, but what do you think about this tournament run? Would you play version 4 at your locals? Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.